Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Colleen Meyer, and welcome to a brand new take with Michelle Pettis and friends. Michelle is a speaker, food story finder, and the author of a soon to be released book, Leaving Large, the stories of a food addict. Michelle, the floor is yours.
Yes. Welcome everybody. It's 7 o'clock. It's Sunday night, and if that's the case, you must be in with joining us for a brand new take. So here's what we do on Sunday nights. On Sunday nights, we look at what we eat and why we eat it. Right? Why we eat what we eat. And on camera tonight, along with our wonderful producer and moderator, Dr. Colleen, we also have licensed nutritionist Gina Cushenberry. Say, hey, Gina. We have Leslie Davis of the author of the awesome book, You Can't Eat Love, also weighing in. Hey, Leslie. And so later on tonight, we are going to be unpacking our Monday dilemma. But first, just want to go through a few little housekeeping things. If you are joining us for the first time, please, we want to hear from you. Just join in the chat if you have questions, if you have comments, if you have observations, if you're like, oh my God, what on earth are they talking about? Put that in the chat so we can unpack and talk about that too. So that's the first thing. The second thing, if you have not downloaded your free chapter of my soon to be released book, Leaving Large, you can do that at leavinglarge.com. www.leavinglarge.com. Download your free chapter, and you'll be one of the first to know when it's available for sale. So how about that? If you are watching us from I Am Brand New Now Facebook group, hey, welcome y'all. If you're watching us on the YouTube channel, I Am Brand New Now, hey, hey as well. You can also follow me on I Am Brand New at I Am Brand New Now on YouTube. So here's what we do on Sunday nights. On Sunday nights, we take a question, we take a dilemma, we take a food situation, a food dilemma of the week, and we unpack it. Because what I found after gaining and losing over 700 pounds in my life, excuse me, oh my goodness, gaining and losing over 700 pounds in my lifetime, that a lot of difficulty for me, and I think I'm like most people, or I was like most people, the challenges came when I really wasn't hungry, but I was eating anyway. And so we have to start thinking about why we eat what we eat. And what I finally figured out, my problem as a food addict, right, as a food addict and yo-yo dieter, was that I was eating too much of the wrong things for the wrong reasons, and I was doing it unconsciously. And what I also finally figured out is once I was able to wrap my head around, because it's all in the head, it's all up here, it's all up here. Once I was able to wrap my head around the reasons why I was eating and raising my consciousness about it, things started to shift. And so you put some conscious raising activity, because that's what we do on Sunday nights, just to bring it forward, bring it forward. Because once you see it, then you can fix it. I have a good friend of mine, Coach Deborah Owens, who's a financial coach, says you can't fix that you can't face. So first we have to face it, right? We have to face it, and that's what we do on Sunday nights. What we do is we face our food stories, right? We face what's driving us, and then we explore ways that we can get on track. So we're going to go to Dr. Colleen, and she is going to let us know what this week's Monday dilemma was.
Okay, the dilemma was you are back at work in the office, finally. Everyone is so excited and happy to see one another. You ate a quick breakfast, and when you get in, you see that the bosses provide a surprise welcome back gourmet meal or gourmet breakfast for the team with all the fixings, the works. Everybody's enjoying and chowing down. What do you do and what do you say?
Yeah, yeah. How about that?
That was nice.
How about that? Before we get into that, I've got to give you a little history. So in my book, I talk about situations where I was overcoming, just mismanaging food. And when I first started working, I worked for an advertising agency. I worked for an advertising agency in Dallas, and it was a big advertising agency. And I was the assistant to the woman who ran the office. She was the media director. And so all the television stations, all the radio stations, all the media outlets sucked up to her, right? And they really tried to woo this agency as a client because this was a big agency that had just moved to Dallas from New York. And so people they were always bringing in food. All the reps they were bringing in muffins, they were bringing in they were bringing in breakfast, they were always bringing it in. Now understand, this was the early 80s, and I'm a farm girl from Texas. I'm a farm girl from Texas. I'm in this big, high rise in Dallas, office. All this hustling and bustling is going on. And one morning I walk in, and there's this big tray of the biggest donuts I have ever seen, just spread out. And everybody, all the people in the office are losing their mind over these donuts. And I'm like, what on earth? First of all, I've never seen a donut that big, and I can't imagine what makes them so special. And so I said something like that. And everybody looked at me like, those aren't donuts, those are bagels. I had never, I had never seen a bagel. I'd never seen a bagel, never heard of a bagel, didn't know a bagel from a schmagel. So the way my office was, right? My office was right outside of the media director's not my office, my desk was right outside of her office. The tray with the spread of all these big giant donuts and fancy spreads was right across from my desk. And so I tried a bagel, and it was quite delicious with some cream cheese. Now that that table of bagels is right across the reach from my desk. I ate bagels all day long. I ate bagels all day long. First of all, they were free, right? They were free, and they were right there. And so that's part of where that question comes from, because those bagels just were there to be eaten. They were there. So anyway, I just thought I would share that office breakfast story with you. So, Colleen, what kind of answers do we have from the group?
Okay. Well, someone said pass the gravy. I don't think he understands your mission.
Right.
And yeah, and then we had someone say probably a slice of raisin bread and orange juice that they would have.
Okay. All right.
I can already hear Miss Gina talking about all the sugar that's in the orange juice.
Okay. All right. So,
And
oh, yeah. Do you have another one that you want to read,
yeah,
or
this is her follow. This is her follow-up one. So she had two.
Okay.
She
Okay.
she would say thank you, followed by saying grace over the food. After all, it was a quick breakfast of problem.
Colleen, you.
I don't know
Am I the only?
why, you know. No,
This
they
you,
say
you
it's me, so I don't know if it's me. It
you're
must be the
sounding
internet.
kind of crackly to me. I don't know if that's just me or if anybody else feels that way as well. Um,
I'm sorry, Michelle. It's probably my internet today.
that's all right. That's all right. All right. So, Gina, you want to wait? You want to weigh in the breakfast at the office after I've already eaten question?
Well, I mean, I think this goes back to okay, free meal, right? So we've eaten, it's sitting there, it's free. This is when you have to check in with your emotions and ask yourself, am I really hungry? I mean, I think a lot of people we find ourselves we have to be a part of that social setting. Let me get a plate. I mean, there's a couple of things you could do in this instance. I mean, you could get that plate, go back to your office, and nobody has to see whether you know, what you're eating or what you're not eating. So you're still inclusive, right? And then I think it's too, it's just going back to that food story because this is a big one for a lot of people. The free food, you know, just because it's there and it's free. I mean, really, you have to ask yourself. I think at that point, is it honoring your body? How are you going to feel after that food? You know,
Mhm.
again, you're having another meal, or maybe it's something you set aside and you say, "Hey, this looks great. You know, I did have a little something for breakfast, but I can carry this over to lunch. I'm gonna get my plate now and I'll save this for lunchtime." So,
Mhm.
a couple of scenarios in there that I think you could definitely work through to still stay on track with your health goals and, you know, staying in line with whatever you have achieved so far so you don't ruin it.
I love that. Just take it back to your office. You know, if you have an office, no one knows what you do with it. You know, once you get back to your office, right?
Right.
And then the other thing, you know, the other thing that I found, Gina, in this scenario to me is it's all this workplace eating. Um, um, when eating is social, it's all part of the same conversation.
Yeah.
And this is something that I noticed myself, you know, being in a field where, you know, eating is very part of the dynamic and all that, that now that theater is opening up and all that is opening up, um, a lot of my accounts are in that arena. And so, you know, there's like a opening night reception or a closing night reception or an author talk, and there's always food. There's always free food and free alcohol, free wine. And I remember in days of old, a going and knowing that that was going to be the case. And many times, even as you know, I feel like I'm a social person and I'm okay in a group. Well, maybe
Hmm.
not as okay as I thought. Um, I would get there, and the first thing I would do, especially if I didn't know anybody, would be, oh, let me go get a drink. Let me go to the table and get a plate and at least put it in my hand. Or even if I got there and saw somebody I knew, it was like, oh well, let's go get a drink or let's go get something to eat. And it was never a question about whether or not you're hungry, or as you say, honoring your body. It's just that you're at this reception, and that's what you do at the reception. At the
Hmm.
reception, you go to the appetizer table. If they're passing the little plates around, you take something off the little plate, right? And you get a drink in your hand with it. That's what you do. And I will tell you something that happened to me is that once I got conscious of that and stopped eating at those events, I started to look around.
Hmm.
And when I started to look around, what I saw was that there were a lot of people who were not eating. And that in times past, I was so focused on my plate and what I was doing and whatever, you know, comfort I just thought that that's what everybody was doing. I just thought that. And I looked around and I was like, oh my God, there are plenty of people in this room that either they just might have a glass of wine, or they might have a soda in their hand, they don't have food, or they might not have anything, they're just standing and talking. And that's something that's an alternative, and you can
Hmm.
still have a good time. Just because it's all there, you don't have to do it. And that was really an eye-opening moment for me. And it kind of, you know, like shifted my thought, you know, shifted my thoughts about how I actually was in a room full of people. And
Right.
it changes when now you can be intentional about meeting people, and I feel like, oh, I've got to have this plate here, this thing here in front of me. Or at least if we're at the food table, oh, have you had that before? What's that? What is that? You know, you've got something to talk about. So there are all kinds of things that are in play that that we're using food as a social crutch.
Yeah, it's a comfort thing. And I mean, I think the thing too is like if you're gonna go in that event, if you're gonna head to the drink thing, there's absolutely nothing wrong with getting the water or getting the bubbly water with the lime that maybe looks like a drink so you don't feel left out. I mean, whatever it has to be. But then you have that crutch, then you know that this is completely calorie free.
Yep.
And then you can kind of assess after being at the event, you have your little safety net of a glass or something, and then assess, like, am I hungry? Do I need something? Or am I satisfied with this drink and the social and the
Mhm.
conversations that I'm
Mhm.
having? So
Mhm. And the other question becomes is like, am I hungry? Or the deeper question is, am I doing this because I'm really uncomfortable in this environment? Does this just not feel right to me? Do I need this to be able to kind of function in this space? So that when you get to that place, that allows you to start building a muscle, right?
mhm,
As soon as we get some awareness around that, we can, at least that's what I found, right? First it was just like you said, Drink. I would get some club soda and it would look like a drink. Then I started getting water, and then it didn't matter. It didn't matter. I didn't even need it. As you start to like wean yourself off of it, then you get a plate and you put fruit on it, right? Just if you just feel like you want to have a plate in your hand, then after a while you don't even need the plate. So it's a process. So, Miss Leslie, we haven't heard from you on this whole thing. I know you've got plenty to weigh in on.
Well, I loved all of Gina's suggestions and ideas. The thing that came to my mind when you're talking about the free food and all of that, this circles back around to, are you going to waste it or waste it? Because truthfully, that food is not free. There is a cost.
Yes.
The cost is not always Benjamins or George Washingtons or Lincolns or something like that, but there is a cost and there is a trade-off. We have to give something in order to get something. So I think that the first thing that we can do is start changing the words that we're using. And instead, when we go to these buffets or we're at these parties, instead of saying, well, we've got all this free food, there is going to be food there. Don't label it
Right.
free. It's just food.
Mm-hmm.
But it also, especially since we're at this time of year, because here we are at the beginning of October, we know that the next 3 months definitely are going to be loaded with all kinds of gatherings, parties. Companies are sending stuff, to their clients and all this. So we're about to be inundated with all kinds of not free food.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the time when we need to start setting our intention. When we are met, not confronted, but when we are met with these situations, what is going to be our intention? And we need to start practicing now and deciding now, what is our intention? Our intention when this food arrives is we're to say, oh, that looks good, but you know what? I really don't want it right now because I'm working on, whatever you're working on. So that also brings in, we need to be really, really clear on our why. Why are we going on this journey? Be super clear. And especially as we are heading into a season where a lot of things are not within our control, we need to make sure even more that we are ratcheting down and being really clear on our why and reminding ourselves daily why we're doing this. So then we can at the same time start saying, these are the situations I know that are going to be coming up. What do I want to have happen? And start laying out some scenarios, start practicing, start having those conversations with yourself. When this company arrives and they bring in this ginormous tray of bagels with my absolute most favorite cream cheese in the whole wide world, and it's perfect room temperature, and that bagel is nice and warm, what do I want to have happen? What is my plan? Okay, well, my plan is I'm going to only eat half of that bagel and I'm going to have some cream cheese with it, and I'm going to fix that. and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to eat it and I'm going to enjoy it. So you've made a plan. Because think of it this way: generals never go into battle without a plan.
Mm-hmm.
And when we struggle with something, in this case food, when we struggle with food, we must have a plan because we are going into battle.
Yes.
We are
Yeah.
going into battle. And we need to have a plan. We need to know what we want the outcome to be. But having said that, we also need to be practicing a lot of self-care and self-affirming conversations, because I can promise you, let's say you say to yourself, you start practicing, you lay out the scenario, you've done all the work, you're crystal clear on your why, you see those bagels, you see that cream cheese, you know that your intention was to only eat half and you end up eating one, a whole one. Just say to yourself, you know what? I'm really proud of you. You made a plan. You did the best that you could. I am so proud of you. It's okay that you ate the whole bagel because that is less than you would have eaten in the past. So guess what? We're going to celebrate that this is what you did. And next time we know how we can make things better. Or next time we know how we can make things turn out differently. So truthfully, now, and most people listening are probably thinking I'm crazy, but no, now is when you need to be really clear on your why. You need to start looking at the possibilities of food opportunities that are coming up and start practicing and deciding now what you want to have happen. Because remember, you can only control you. You are not in control of the rest of the world. You cannot control the people who bring the food in. You can't control your coworker, your anything, whatever, as they are, piling their plate as high as they can pile it. You're not in control of them. You're in control of you, your half a bagel, your smear of cream cheese, sitting at your desk or in a chair or something where you're enjoying that food. But should you mess up on your plan, just say, something, you did the best that you could. I forgive you. We're going to move on. Next time we'll make a better choice. And do not, can I underline right here? Do not say you cheated. You cannot cheat.
Yes. Yes.
You can only cheat on income taxes, a test, and your significant other. That's
right.
it.
Yeah. Right. So what I got from what you were saying, Leslie, what I really liked was just the power of intention. Right. The power of intention. And as we, think about these choices and everything that is, that comes to us every day. And one of the ways that I found that helped me like stay on the plan is something that I called intentional substitution. Right. And if you know something is coming toward you, it's just like, going from drinking spirits like wine or whatever the case may be, or whatever your drink of choice might be, to club soda and pineapple juice, or lime, or carrot juice, not carrot juice, pineapple juice or cranberry juice. If you're going to move something out of the way, one way to keep yourself from feeling deprived is to put something else in its place that serves the same purpose. So having some real clear notion of what you're going to substitute for this thing that you're going to move out of the way. And in conjunction with what you're talking about in terms of having a plan, one of the things that I found, and as I talk to people and even with myself, that makes it so difficult to stick to a program, whatever program you choose, is, people feel like people don't enjoy it. They don't enjoy it. They don't enjoy it. They feel like they're being deprived, and and it's not fun. So, and people will do that which they enjoy, right? You will do that which you enjoy. Then it seems like to me that the secret to this plan is to make a plan that is enjoyable. And one of the ways to make a plan that is enjoyable is to do, for me, it was doing the thing that I always got, admonished for when I was a kid. And that was, Michelle, quit that daydreaming. Stop, stop. I mean, I don't know. Did your parents ever say that to you? My grandparents used to say that to me all the time. Stop all that daydreaming, right? And, do your chores or whatnot, because I'm off in Never Never Land. Well, what I submit right now is that when it comes to goal setting, and when it comes to making a plan, and when it comes to being intentional, daydreaming is one of the most important tools in our toolbox. And daydreaming is visualization. It is being able to transport yourself, right? Having the skill to transport yourself from the state that you are in now to a state that you want to be, the state that will give you pleasure, the state that will get you through whatever the temptations of the moment, whatever the temptation of the moment is. And I think about this. I think about this, and I call it, my happy place. That we have to have really have a real strong and compelling picture of the result that we want, of our end, right, of our plan, of what we want to do, as Leslie was talking about. That has to be stronger and more vivid and more compelling and more powerful than anything that is on the plate. And we have to practice staying in this place of happiness. So if you have written it down, write down what that goal, is. Write down, what you want to look like, what you want to feel like, how you want to show up, who you want to see, what you want to do, all that. Put it on paper. Put it on paper and read it and think about it and feel it and be in it multiple times a day. And here's the thing, when you are doing that, you are happy, right? It makes you happy to read this thing, to get up and read this and see it on your phone, have it in your notebook. It makes you happy. So you go into the day in this state of being happy on purpose, with intention. And the same thing happens when you're in this, when you're surrounded by the food, by the bagels, right? I didn't have a picture. I didn't have a picture. Only picture I had in front of me was some bagels in front of me. That's all I saw. But if we are in a state, in a situation where we're confronted by food situations, well, we're going out to dinner, going out to breakfast, wherever we're going. All right, before you get out of your car, read your happy place, read your story. When you walk in the restaurant, go in the restroom, read your story. Plan to go to the table with a story in your head, right? I know it's rude, but people are on their phones all the time at meals. Just check your phone right quick and look at your story as you're ordering. So the story becomes bigger than the menu. The story, the place that you want to be, becomes bigger than the people at the table. The story of the place of where you want to be becomes bigger than the moment that you're in, right? And so you leave it, you don't even, and you choose whatever you choose to have. You make some smarter choices because your choices are being driven by your story. And you can leave the situation being satisfied and being happy on your diet, because you have a chance to be transported to this place of joy and happiness that you want to feel. So that's the trick. That's how you do it. But it's a skill we have to build, right? It's a skill we have to build. All right. So, 30 minutes goes really quickly. 30 minutes goes really quickly. So tonight, we've been talking about the dilemma of this week. Thank you, Leslie, for weighing in. Thank you, Gina, for weighing in. We're gonna wrap it up. Gina, I'm gonna give you a chance to tell everybody how they can reach you. Tell everybody about your recipe, the recipe that you posted up this week too. We have enough time for you to talk about that, and then Leslie, we'll go to you and then we'll sign off.
Okay. Well, this week's recipe is the chopped tuna with salad recipe. So all of our pescatarians out there, that's something, yummy for you. And then if you're a vegan, you can take the tuna off. But I do want to mention one thing that's important about tuna. Try to get the light tuna more so than the solid white. Mercury is something to consider with tuna, and it's higher in the white. So that's why I recommended the chunk light tuna in this particular recipe. And I would go with I still promote, I know some people like to get it in the oil if they're on keto, but I still will promote the water packed. Just say it. But you can put the salad dressing on top, and that's your healthy fat. But so it's just an alternative without mayonnaise, and you do a little vinaigrette. So that's the salad. And if you want to reach me, you can find me at on Instagram at Gina Trim Nutrition, and you can email me ginatrimnutrition@gmail.com. Yep.
Thank you, Miss Gina.
Thank
All
you.
right. And Leslie, let's tell everybody how they can get in touch with you and get your book.
Well, the easiest way to get in touch with me and find out everything about me and to get access to order the book is on youcan'teatlove.com. And I recently added a supplemental workbook that also includes coloring pages. The supplemental workbook will help you dig deeper into your why, because as we were talking about earlier, you've got to have that story, you've got to have that compelling reason that becomes bigger than the menu. So the new supplemental workbook will help you dig deeper into that. But anyway, you can reach me, email me, whatever. It's all available on youcan'teatlove.com, and I will answer you. So I hope to hear from you.
Thank you, Ms. Leslie, so much. Thank you. And I do want to just add, if you're watching this and you have a food dilemma or a food situation of your own that you'd like for us to unpack and talk about on a brand new take, please just reach out to me on Facebook. You can email me at iambrandnewnow@gmail.com. You can reach out to me on YouTube or on Instagram. Shoot us your dilemma, and we could be talking about your situation. And quite frankly, send us your situation. If you want to come up on stage and weigh in on the conversation, we would love to have that too. So thank you for joining us for a brand new take. Next Sunday, we'll have another situation that we'll unpack, and we're just going to keep peeling back the onion every week, going deeper and deeper and deeper, and just addressing and facing our food stories, finding our food stories, rewriting them, and replacing them with healthy ones that will allow us to have bodies, right, that serve us, bodies that allow us to live in power, that allow us to live in pride, peace, confidence, freedom, and joy. And with that, thank you, Dr. Colleen. Good night, everybody.